Welcome to Speak English with me.
Improve your vocabulary, grammar, and pronunciation with our engaging lessons.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Speak English with me. I'm Sam.
And I'm Emma. We're really happy you're here because today we're talking about something so simple that you probably say it without even thinking about it. I'm busy.
Before we get into the conversation, if you enjoy learning English through natural conversations, make sure you subscribe to Speak English with me and stay with us until the end, because today we're going to give you 10 natural ways to talk about being busy without repeating the same phrase again and again.
And I have to admit, Sam, I'm busy is one of those phrases I use far too much. Someone asks, "Do you want to go out tonight?" I say, "Sorry, I'm busy." Someone asks, "Can you help me tomorrow?" I say, "I'm busy." Even when I'm not really busy, I sometimes say it.
Wait, you say it even when you're not busy?
Unfortunately, yes. Sometimes I'm tired or I just want some time alone. Then a friend calls and says, "Are you free?" And somehow, "I'm busy" comes out before I've even decided what I want to say.
I totally get that. Sometimes I'm busy doesn't mean I have a lot of work. It can mean I have too many things in my head or I need some time for myself.
And sometimes it feels safer than saying, "I don't really want to go," or "I'm too tired today." We feel like we need a good reason.
And I'm busy sounds like a good reason because nobody can argue with it.
Right, but here's the thing for English learners. If it becomes your answer to every situation, your English can start to sound repetitive. Native speakers have many expressions for different kinds of busy days.
Those expressions can tell people much more. There's a difference between having several small things to do, having no free time, being in the middle of something, and feeling completely overwhelmed.
And there's something emotional about that difference. If I tell a friend, "I'm busy," I might sound like I'm closing the door. But if I say, "I've got a lot going on," I'm giving them a little more of the story.
Exactly. Well, not exactly.
You caught yourself.
I did. I'm trying to behave today.
Good luck with that.
Thanks, I'll need it.
So let's imagine a normal situation. You call me on a Tuesday afternoon and say, "Emma, do you want to grab a coffee after work?"
My old answer would be, "Sorry, I'm busy."
But suppose you have 3 emails to answer, you promised to call your mother, you need to buy groceries, and you have an appointment tomorrow morning that you still need to prepare for.
In that situation, I could say, "I've got a lot going on this week."
That sounds different.
Yes, it doesn't necessarily mean I'm working every minute. It means several things are happening at the same time, and together they are making my week feel full.
That's a really useful distinction. "I've got a lot going on" is often more personal than simply saying, "I'm busy."
It can also be a softer way to explain why you're not available. Imagine your friend asks, "Why have you disappeared lately? You never have time to meet."
If you answer, "I'm busy," it might sound a little cold.
But if you say, "Sorry, I've just got a lot going on at the moment," it sounds more personal. You can even add, "I'd love to see you next weekend."
That's much nicer. You're not only giving information, you're showing that the relationship still matters to you.
That's something I really want learners to notice. Natural English isn't just about replacing one word with another. It's about communicating the feeling behind the sentence.
Yes, if you say, "I can't come, I'm busy," the listener gets the information. But if you say, "I'd love to come, but I've got a lot going on this week. Could we do it another day?" the listener gets both the information and your attitude.
It can also make difficult conversations easier. Think about work. Your manager gives you another task and asks, "Can you finish this by Friday?"
You could say, "I'm busy," but that doesn't really tell your manager much.
True, you could say, "I've got a lot going on this week. Could we talk about which tasks should come first?"
Now you're not just complaining, you're communicating. You're saying, "I have several responsibilities and I need help deciding what is most important."
And notice the emotion too. "I'm busy" can sound like a wall. "I've got a lot going on" can sound like an invitation to understand what's happening.
I like that. A wall versus an invitation.
And today, that's what we're going to do. We're going to move beyond I'm busy and look at phrases that real people use when their schedule is full, when they're under pressure, when they're already doing something, or when they simply cannot take on one more thing. So don't just memorize 10 replacements,
Listen to the situations and think about which phrase you would actually use.
because the goal isn't to sound like a textbook.
The goal is to have more choices when real life gets busy.
One phrase that becomes really useful when your workload starts getting out of control is I'm swamped.
Oh, swamped is a good one. I use that when work starts coming from every direction. Emails, messages, little jobs, unexpected problems, and then somebody says, "Could you just do one more thing?"
And that just makes it worse.
It really does. "Could you just" sounds so small, but sometimes the thing after just takes 2 hours.
So when you say I'm swamped, you're saying you have far too much to do at the moment.
Yes, it's stronger than I'm busy. If I say I'm busy this afternoon, I may have a full schedule. But if I say I'm swamped this afternoon, I'm giving you the feeling that I'm struggling to keep up.
Let's put that into a real conversation. Imagine you're at work and I send you a message. Emma, do you have time to look at this report today?
I might say, "I'm sorry, I'm completely swamped today. Could you send it to me tomorrow morning?"
And that sounds natural because you're not pretending you have no time at all. You're saying your workload is already too heavy.
Right, but I wouldn't use swamped for every small thing. If I have 2 emails to answer, saying I'm swamped would sound dramatic.
That's important. Some expressions communicate not only the amount of work, but also its intensity.
If my friend asks, "Can you help me choose a birthday present?" and I say, "I'm swamped," that could sound funny unless I'm genuinely having a crazy day.
So, swamped tells the other person that you have more work than you can comfortably handle right now.
Yes, and you can make it stronger with words like completely or totally. "I'm completely swamped this week."
Sometimes that stronger feeling is useful because you really cannot take anything else on.
That brings us to another phrase, "I'm tied up."
I like this one because it's different. I'm tied up usually means you're occupied and unavailable at that moment.
So if I call you and say, "Sam, can you talk?"
And I'm in a meeting, I could say, sorry, I'm tied up right now. Can I call you back in an hour?
That sounds very natural.
It also works outside the office.
If I'm cooking dinner, helping my child with homework, or dealing with something that needs my attention, I can say, "I'm tied up at the moment."
And you don't have to explain everything.
That's one of the things I like about it. Sometimes someone asks what you're doing, but you don't want to give them a long explanation. "I'm tied up right now" gives enough information.
There's a difference between I'm tied up and I'm swamped, though. If you're tied up, you may be doing one thing that is keeping you unavailable. If you're swamped, you usually have a lot of things piling up.
Yes, imagine I'm on an important phone call. I'm tied up. But imagine I have 6 deadlines, 20 emails, a meeting in 10 minutes, and someone waiting for my answer. I'm swamped.
Tied up is more about being occupied. Swamped is more about being overloaded.
And sometimes you can combine the feeling with a polite response. "I'm tied up right now, but I'll get back to you later." That sounds much better than disappearing or simply saying, "I'm busy."
It also tells the other person what happens next.
Yes, if someone asks for your time, they want to know whether they should wait or contact you later.
Let's try one more situation. You're at home, you're preparing dinner, your phone is ringing, and your friend sends you a message saying, "Can you talk for 5 minutes?"
I could reply, "I'm tied up right now. Can I call you later?"
Good. Now change the situation. You've had a terrible week. You're behind on work, you've got deadlines tomorrow, and you feel like every new task is making things worse.
Then I'd say, "I'm completely swamped this week. I'm trying to catch up."
There's a very useful phrase in that sentence, trying to catch up.
Yes, if you're trying to catch up, it means you've fallen behind and you're working to get back to where you should be.
So you might say, I'm swamped at work and I'm still trying to catch up.
That sounds very natural, especially when you've had several difficult days in a row.
And notice how much more expressive that is than simply saying, I'm busy,
You can almost hear the pressure in it.
which is what makes these phrases useful. They don't just tell people that your schedule is full, they help people understand what your day actually feels like.
And once you start noticing those differences, you stop searching for one perfect replacement for "I'm busy." You start choosing the phrase that matches the situation.
There's another situation we haven't talked about yet. Sometimes you're not overwhelmed and you're not necessarily dealing with a huge number of tasks. You're simply in the middle of something and the timing is bad.
Yes, and that's when "I'm in the middle of something" becomes really useful. I probably use this phrase more than people realize because it gives a reason for not responding immediately without making the situation sound dramatic.
Let's say I walk into your room while you're writing an important email and I ask, Emma, can you help me with something?
I could look up and say, "Sure, give me a minute. I'm in the middle of something."
That sounds very different from I'm busy.
It does. "I'm busy" focuses on me being unavailable. "I'm in the middle of something" focuses on what I'm doing right now. It tells you, I can probably talk to you, but not this second.
And that makes it useful when you don't want to sound like you're rejecting someone.
Exactly. If I say, "I'm busy," you might think, okay, she doesn't want to talk. But if I say, "I'm in the middle of something, can you give me 5 minutes?" you know there's a specific reason.
There's also something very natural about adding right now.
Yes, "I'm in the middle of something right now, can I call you back?" That sounds like normal, everyday English.
What if someone keeps asking you questions while you're trying to concentrate?
Then I might laugh and say, "I'm in the middle of something. Can we talk about this in a few minutes?"
That's a good phrase for setting a small boundary without sounding angry.
And that matters. Sometimes we think being polite means saying yes immediately, but you can be polite and still protect your attention.
I like that idea. Your attention is part of your time.
Yes, and when you're working on something difficult, even a small interruption can break your concentration. You answer one question, then another message appears, and suddenly 20 minutes have disappeared.
That happens so easily. You think, I'll just check this one message, and then you're reading something completely unrelated.
And then you look at the clock and wonder where your morning went.
Now, another useful phrase is, I'm caught up with work. This one is interesting because it doesn't simply mean that you have a lot of work, it means your work is taking up your attention or keeping you occupied.
So I could say, "I've been caught up with work lately, so I haven't had much time to go out."
Yes, and I like that phrase when you're explaining why something has been happening over a period of time.
For example, "Sorry, I haven't called. I've been caught up with work."
Exactly. It sounds like work has pulled you in and you haven't had much space for other things.
And there's a little emotional weight in that sentence.
There is. If an old friend says, you never call anymore, you could say, I know, I'm sorry, I've just been caught up with work lately.
That sounds more human than simply saying, "I'm busy."
Because you're acknowledging the relationship. You're not pretending that work is more important than your friend, you're explaining what has been taking your attention.
I can imagine someone saying, "I've been caught up with work, but things should calm down next week."
That's a great example because you're also giving the person some hope. You're saying, this is temporary.
Which leads nicely to another expression, "I'm a bit stretched thin."
Oh, this one is really useful, but I think it needs a little explanation because it has a different feeling.
Go for it.
When you say, I'm stretched thin, you mean you have too many responsibilities, demands, or commitments, and you don't have much energy or time left.
So it's not only about the number of things you have to do, it can also be about how much those things are taking out of you.
Yes, imagine someone is working full-time, looking after their family, trying to exercise, helping a friend, and dealing with several personal responsibilities. They might say, I'm feeling a bit stretched thin at the moment. That sounds more emotional than I'm busy.
Much more. "I'm busy" can be completely neutral. "I'm stretched thin" suggests that your resources are being pulled in too many directions.
And I noticed you said, I'm feeling a bit stretched thin, rather than just, I'm stretched thin.
Good catch. Adding "I'm feeling a bit" can soften it. It makes it sound less like a complaint and more like an honest description of how you're doing.
So if your friend asks, how are you these days? You could say, honestly, I'm feeling a bit stretched thin. I've got a lot to deal with at the moment.
Yes, and that could open a real conversation. Your friend might say, "What's going on?" And now you have a chance to talk instead of hiding behind, "I'm busy."
That's something I really like about this phrase. It can communicate that you're not just physically occupied, you might actually need a little understanding.
And sometimes we need to be honest about that. There are weeks when everything seems to arrive at once. Your work needs attention, your family needs attention, your phone keeps ringing, and even simple things like doing the laundry start feeling like another responsibility on a huge list.
I've had weeks like that where even choosing what to eat for dinner feels like a decision I don't have the energy to make.
Oh, I know that feeling. You open the fridge, stare inside for 30 seconds, close it, and think, "I'll figure it out later."
Then later becomes 9 o'clock,
And suddenly dinner is cereal.
which is a perfectly respectable dinner.
You always say that when you don't want to cook.
Maybe because I believe in consistency.
Or laziness.
I prefer energy management.
That is a very creative way to describe it.
But that little joke actually shows why these phrases matter. Being busy isn't always about having an enormous workload. Sometimes it's about having limited mental energy and too many things competing for it.
And once you can describe that feeling in English, you can have much more honest conversations. You can say, "I'm caught up with work," when work has taken over your attention. You can say, "I'm in the middle of something," when the timing is bad. And you can say, "I'm feeling stretched thin," when you're carrying more than you comfortably can.
3 different situations, 3 different feelings, and none of them require you to repeat, "I'm busy."
And we still have a few more expressions to explore, because sometimes your problem isn't what you're doing right now, it's that your whole week already looks full before you even get to the weekend.
And when your whole week already looks full, one natural phrase you can use is, "Things have been hectic."
I really like that one because hectic gives you a feeling of movement and pressure. If I say things have been hectic lately, it sounds like life has been moving very quickly and I've had a lot to deal with.
You could say that after a stressful week at work, during exam season, or even when you're organizing a big event.
Yes, and another useful phrase is, "My schedule is packed." That one is very clear. It means you already have many things planned, so finding free time is difficult.
For example, if a friend asks, "Can you meet me this Saturday?" I could say, "I'd love to, but my schedule is packed this weekend."
And if you want to say no without sounding too direct, try, "I don't think I can fit it in."
That's a really natural way to talk about time. You're saying that you simply don't have enough space in your schedule.
Right. "I'd love to help, but I don't think I can fit it in this week." It sounds much softer than simply saying, "I can't."
And our final phrase is one you'll hear quite often. "I've got too much on my plate."
This means you already have a lot of responsibilities, tasks, or problems to deal with.
So if your manager gives you another project, you could say, "I'd like to help, but I've already got too much on my plate."
And that phrase is especially useful because it explains why you're saying no. You're not saying the new task is unimportant. You're saying you already have enough to handle.
Let's do a quick word tour before we finish. Hectic means very busy and full of activity. Packed means there's very little free space or time. Fitted in means find enough time for something. And too much on my plate means you already have more responsibilities than you can comfortably handle.
And remember, you don't need to throw all 10 phrases into your English tomorrow. Start with the ones that feel natural to you.
If you have many things happening in your life, try, "I've got a lot going on."
If you're overloaded, "I'm swamped."
If you're busy with something right now, "I'm tied up," or "I'm in the middle of something."
If work has taken over your attention, "I've been caught up with work."
And when life feels like it's pulling you in too many directions, "I'm feeling a bit stretched thin."
Then you have "things have been hectic," "my schedule is packed," "I don't think I can fit it in," and "I've got too much on my plate."
So the next time "I'm busy" is about to come out automatically, pause for a second and ask yourself, what do I really mean?
Maybe you're not just busy. Maybe you're overwhelmed, occupied, distracted, overloaded, or simply running out of time.
And when you can describe that feeling, your English becomes much more natural and much more expressive.
Thanks for spending this time with us. Keep practicing, keep listening, and most importantly, keep using English in real situations. We'll see you in the next conversation.